Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's second video, looking at the ECMWF extended model for today's second video. So we're going 6 weeks ahead with the extended ECWF model. We're going to look at mean cell pressure, 500 millibar height, temperature and precipitation anomalies for the next 6 weeks. I'll get on with that for you in a second. Just say about the first video today was our 7 AM forecast. We've got the week ahead forecast coming up as well as on Saturday, the week ahead look ahead, and a 10 to 14 day as well. So plenty coming up on the channel today. Please like, share, subscribe on all of the videos. And so much everybody for doing that. Right, we're going to start off then with the week 1 mean sea level pressure anomaly. This is next week. This could take us from the 11th to the 18th of October. We're just focusing on the UK and Ireland for this one, by the way. The wider European outlook with the EC extended model is always on a Tuesday. So next week, going to have high pressure centred over top of the UK and Ireland, looking mainly dry and anticyclonic in the week ahead. The 500 millibar height anomaly from a North Pole view down looks like that. Again, we've got above average heights extending through the western part of Europe into the North Atlantic, a trough of below average heights into eastern, northeastern parts of Europe, jet streams digging southwards, something like that as well. So it's cooler and more unsettled in the east of Europe, but we're mainly dry in the west of Europe with lots of high pressure on offer. The temperature anomaly next week for week 1 is actually a little bit cooler than average across southern, southeastern parts of England, and warmer than average through Ireland, Scotland, and northwestern parts of England. And also Wales. So yeah, northwest south being split with temperature next week, and the precipitation anomaly is drier than average under that area of high pressure. Ireland and the UK standing out as being very, very dry. Right, let's go through the week 2. This will be the 18th to 25th of October. We have a change here as the area of high pressure begins to slip southwards in towards France, Spain, and the Mediterranean. Low pressure setting up over Scandinavia. So probably unsettled, probably bringing like a westerly, maybe slight northwesterly type flow into the country. But it does look like probably turning things more unsettled in the second week. The 500 millibar height anomaly, again, just showing that area of above average height slipping a little bit further southwards, below average heights to our north, northeast, and also out in the Atlantic, just probably gradually breaking down that area of higher pressure. The temperature anomaly, though, is actually lifting up for week 2, so we find that we're above average temperatures in this week for the UK and for Ireland. The precipitation anomaly goes wetter than average to our north. So again, you see where the low pressure is coming in to the north of Scotland. It's looking quite wet. Going dry than average, or at least dry than average across southern Europe. So clearly there is like a transition going on there. Something more unsettled, especially for northern and western areas. Week 3 will be the 25th of October to the 1st of November. Looking more unsettled, if anything. The high pressure again is more centred towards southern parts of Europe now, mainly down into Mediterranean. Low pressure is over Scandinavia and to the north of Scotland, and also digging into the North Atlantic to some degree. Jet stream coming southwards as well. It does look as though it could be quite an unsettled end to October. The 500 millibar height anomaly has the below average heights to our north, northeast, and in the Atlantic. The above average heights still there to our south, southwest, but gradually, week by week, that looks like it's weakening, and it is turning more unsettled here, I would have thought. The temperature anomaly is still holding up, though, so it's going to be warmer than average October if this comes off. We see above average temperatures again for Ireland and also for the UK, and the precipitation anomaly does now look significantly wetter than average, particularly in the north, but all areas really are going wetter than average. So there is a switch here that's going on through the second half of October, something significantly more unsettled. Now, week 4 is going to be reversed through to the 8th of November. Of course, the further out we go, the more unreliable it's all getting. But it was showing, so it's showing like some high pressure around Greenland, actually. It looks like we might become a little bit northern blocking starting to appear trough of low pressure over Scandinavia and northern parts of Europe. The high pressure is weakening further and moving into the far southeast of Europe. I reckon that's still going to be quite unsettled and might be a little bit colder. We might be starting to bring in the wind a little bit more from the northwest or maybe even the north. Let's have a look at the 500 millibar height anomaly. So there we see an area of below average heights again over Scandinavia, northern Europe. A trough of low pressure is in across the north of Europe. Above average heights out in the Atlantic, heading up towards Greenland, sends a jet stream of wind flow on the northwest-southeast alignment. You could envisage that that's turning not only, or staying not only unsettled, but turning cool as well. Let's have a look at temperature anomaly. So still holding up okay, no problems with the temperature. Really, it does go a little bit cold on average around Greenland and Iceland. I wonder whether the temperature's been overdone there. However, I reckon that could be a rather cooler week. And still looking rather wetter than average as well, especially this time to our east, but also to some degree to our north. So quite an unsettled start to November, and I think that could be getting a little bit colder. Week 5 will be the 8th through to the 15th of November. So we're looking a little bit more mysterious now. We've still got the leftover legacy of that trough of low pressure over Scandinavia. Still some higher pressure around Greenland, perhaps. Otherwise, it's not that clear what's going on as we go into the second week of November. This is the 500 millibar height anomaly. Again, still with the trough over Scandinavia, it's still there. The above average heights in the middle of the Atlantic going up towards Greenland. So fundamentally, I still think that could be bringing in a wind from like a northerly, northwesterly, or even perhaps northerly direction. The temperature anomaly is lowering back towards average, or has no signal. Notice it's cold around Iceland. And the precipitation anomaly, very weak by this point, as it always is by week 5, but if anything, perhaps still a little bit above average for precipitation across the northern and western parts of Europe. Right, so finally we get to week 6, which is going to be the 15th to 22nd of November. This is how it's looking. Mid-Atlantic ridge is strengthening here, so we've got high pressure in the middle of the Atlantic, still extending up towards Greenland. Trough low pressure looks like it's gone across Scandinavia. We've got high pressure across southeastern Europe, which is going to bring warmth from Africa, southeastern Europe, by the way. For us, I reckon, you know, with that high pressure in the middle of the Atlantic, probably still favouring like a northerly flow, I would have thought, but I will put in a question mark on question marks as it's quite a weak signal. The 500 millibar height anomaly for week 6, again, shows the above average heights in the Atlantic rising northwards into Greenland, and in fact even extending back into the Arctic to some degree. The temperature anomaly for week 6 looks like that. Very, very weak by this point. It is a little bit cold on average, still close to Iceland. It could be, but the further on into November we're going, the risk of colder outbreaks is increasing, I think, here. And the precipitation anomaly, again, not much of a signal. You see that it is drier than average to our northwest around Greenland and Iceland. Looks pretty dry. That's where the high pressure is centred, of course, up here. A little bit wetter than average here. Otherwise, not much of a signal. But to me, it looks like November could turn increasingly cold, I think, if this is right, with a you know, an ongoing increased risk of the northerly outbreaks. That's how I'd interpret these charts. So for the rest of October, we've got a gradual transition into something more unsettled, starting off very dry and anticyclonic, of course. And the second half of October turns increasingly wet and low pressure Atlantic driven, especially in the last week or so of the month. And then into November, it stays unsettled, but over time we have an increasing risk of colder weather getting involved in that unsettled weather too. So northerly shots via an Atlantic ridge, potentially going up to Greenland, that kind of thing, could deliver some quite cold early, some quite cold weather early on through November, and maybe an increasing risk of some snow as we go through the month. That's how I'll interpret this, but let me know in the comments what you think about all of this. I'd love to know. But yeah, quite an interesting update from the ECMWF extended, reading between the lines today, which is sometimes what you have to do with these seasonal models. Right, okay, so that's that one done and dusted. As I say, we'll have a wider European outlook for the next 6 weeks on Tuesday, and then we'll do it all over again, posting on the UK and Ireland at the end of next week. We've got weekend forecast coming up for you very shortly, followed by our 10 to 14 day. Make sure you check out the 7 AM forecast, which was the first video released today, and for the EC 6 weeks forecast. That's all for now, and thanks for watching.